Good morning. My name's Ken Arzone. I live in Vista, California. I'm going to be talking about the top 50 baseball pitchers of all time, according to talent. My list will count down from number 50 down to number 1 of my opinion and my subjective analysis of who I think are the most talented pitchers of all time. Obviously, most of these pitchers that I picked are in the Hall of Fame. I have no relief pitchers, only those who are starting pitchers. Also, no pitchers who use steroids, and no pitchers are on my list who are presently playing. And when their career is over, I may update my list. So let's debate the list. If you agree or disagree, that's okay. All right. If you notice, I'm a Mariner fan, so I'm wearing my Mariner hat and jersey today. And let's get started with number 50 of the most talented pitchers and of all time, and the person who I would want on my team to pitch a game. Okay, number 50, Dizzy Dean. You remember him? Played in the 30s and 40s. Played for the Cardinals and the Cubs. He only played about 12 years. Won 150 games, lost 83. ERA in the threes. 1,100 strikeouts. Winning percentage of 64%. I like Dizzy Dean because one year he won 30 games. So most players in today's era struggle just to win 20. But back in 1934, Dizzy Dean won 30 games. So he's on my list at number 50. Counting down, number 49, Orel Hershiser of the Dodgers. Played in the 80s and 90s. Won 204 games in his career, lost 150. ERA, 3.48. 2,000 strikeouts. Played 18 years. What's unique about Orel is he had a streak of 59 consecutive scoreless innings. That broke Don Drysdale's record of 58 2/3. Can you imagine? 59 straight scoreless innings. Won a World Series for the Dodgers, 1988. Orel Hershiser, number 49. Number 48, Kevin Brown. Played for the Rangers and the Dodgers, played 19 years. Played in 1986 through 2005. Won 211 games, lost 144. ERA in the 3, 2,300 strikeouts. Pitched a no-hitter. Kevin Brown, tough pitcher to hit. Number 47, Don Drysdale of the Dodgers. Played from 56 to 1969. Won 209 games, lost 166. ERA close to 3. 2,400 strikeouts. Just played 14 years, Don Drysdale. He had that streak, 58 2/3 scoreless innings. He was known for hitting batters. Hit 154 batters in his career. But you know what else he did? He slugged 29 home runs in his career. He comes in second. And I'll tell you who hit the most home runs as a pitcher. He's way down on the list. And when I get to him, I'll mention him, okay? Number 46, John Smoltz. Played from 88 to 2009. Won 213 games, lost 155, ERA 3. He had 3,000 strikeouts. Played 21 years. He also he played for the Braves. He also saved 150 games. So John Smoltz coming in at number 46. Number 45 on my list, Roy Halladay. Played for the Blue Jays and the Phillies. He had 2 no-hitters, and one of them was a perfect game. Played 16 years, won 203 games, lost 105, ERA in the threes, had over 2,000 strikeouts. 65% winning percentage. Roy Halladay of the Philadelphia Phillies and the Blue Jays. Number 44, Jim Bunning. Played from 1955 through 71. Won 224 games, lost 184, ERA in the threes, 2,800 strikeouts. Played 17 years, had 2 no-hitters, and one of them was a perfect game. Jim Bunning played for the Phillies. He was elected to Congress, served in the House of Representatives, and also served as a senator. That was Jim Bunning. Coming in at number 44. 43, Curt Schilling. Played for the Phillies, Red Sox, and Diamondbacks. Won a World Series with the Diamondbacks. Played from 88 to 2007. Won 216 games, 146 losses, ERA 3.5, over 3,000 strikeouts. Played 20 years. Is he a Hall of Famer? I would put him in. Curt Schilling, tough pitcher. Number 42, Rube Waddell, old school player, played from 1897 to 1910, 13 years in the league. Won 193 games, 143 losses. Here's the key to Rube, 2.18 ERA. If you're in the twos, you're solid. 2,300 strikeouts. Only played 13 years. One year he had 349 strikeouts, so he was tough to hit. Played for the Phillies and the Cards. Rube Waddell, coming in at number 42. He's in the Hall of Fame. Number 41 on my list, Mike Mussina. Played for the Orioles and the Yankees. Played from 1991 through 2008. Won 270 games. Lost 153. ERA 3.5. 2,800 strikeouts. Played 18 years. Mike, he's kind of like on the brink for the Hall of Fame. I'd put him in. That's Mike Mussina. Number 40 on my list. Here's a old school player, Red Faber. He's in the Hall of Fame. Have you heard of him? Played from 1914 to 1933. He won 254 games, lost 213. ERA in the threes, 1,400 strikeouts. Played 20 years for the White Sox. Why do I have him on my list? If you can win over 254 games, you're pretty good. Number 39, Vic Willis, another old school. Played from 1898 to 1910, 13 years. Won 249 games in 13 years. Lost 205, ERA 2.5, 1,600 strikeouts. Had a no-hitter, and he played for the Pirates. That's Vic Willis in the Hall of Fame. Number 38, Jack Morris of the Twins. Won a World Series for the Twins. Played from 77 to 1994. Career stats, 254 wins, 186 losses. ERA, close to 4. But 2,400 strikeouts in 18 years. Pitched a no-hitter. Jack Morris. Number 37 on my list, old school, Ted Lyons. Hall of Famer. Played for the White Sox 18 years. Played from 1914 to 1933. Ted Lyons won 260 games in 18 years. Lost 230, ERA 3,000 strikeouts. I put some of these old school guys on my list. 260 wins for Ted Lyons. Next on my list, coming in at number 36, Whitey Ford of the Yankees. Oh, he was pretty good in the 1950s and 60s. Won 236 games, lost 106. ERA 2.75, close to 2,000 strikeouts. Played 14 years, Whitey Ford. But listen to this, his winning percentage, 69%. Most pitchers have a winning percentage of 50, some are in the 40s, some are 60, but Whitey Ford, 69%. I think that's one of the top ones on my list as far as winning percentage. Number 35 on my list, Carl Hubbell. Remember him? He played for the Giants back in 1928 through 1943. Won 253 games, lost 154. ERA close to 3, 1,600 strikeouts. Played 16 years, had a no-hitter. He was in an all-star game, Carl Hubbell. He faced 5 batters who were Hall of Famers and struck out all 5 of them in a row. Babe Ruth, Lou Gehrig, Jimmy Fox, Al Simmons, and Joe Cronin. That was pretty impressive to do, and he's known for that. That's Carl Hubbell coming in at number 35. 34 on my list, Juan Marichal of the Giants. Played in the 60s and 70s, played 16 years, won 243 games, lost 142, ERA close to 3, 2,300 strikeouts, had a no-hitter, had a high leg kick when he pitched. If you're interested in Juan Marichal, Google him and watch his windup. A high leg kick, one of the highest in history. Number 33 on my list, Red Rupping. Have you heard of him? He's in the Hall of Fame. Played from 1924 through 47. Why is he on my list? 273 wins, 225 losses. ERA close to 4, a little high there. Close to 2,000 strikeouts, played 20 years, played for the Red Sox and Yankees. But what's interesting about Red Rupping, he won 6 World Series titles. Pretty good. Number 32, Jim Palmer of the Orioles. Played from 1965 through 84. 268 wins, impressive. 152 losses. ERA close to 3, 2,200 strikeouts. He played 19 years. He had a no-hitter. And also he won 3 World Series titles. That's Jim Palmer of the Orioles. Number 31 on my list, Ferguson Jenkins of the Cubs. Played from 65 through 83. Won 284 games, lost 226, ERA 3.34, strikeouts 3,192. Played 19 years with the Cubs. He had 6 straight seasons of 20 or more wins. Very good. Ferguson Jenkins. Counting down on my list, number 30, Robin Roberts. Played for the Phillies from 1948 through 1966. Won 286 games. Played 19 years. You know, Robin, why not play one more year to try to get to the 300 win club? But he stopped. Had 6 straight 20-win seasons. Won 287, lost 250, ERA 3, 2,300 strikeouts. So I'll take Robin Roberts on my list. Number 29, Bert Blyleven. Played for the Twins from 1970 through 1992. 287 wins for Bert. So Robin had 286 wins. Plays 19 years and stops. Bert Blyleven plays 22 years and has 287 wins, 250 losses. If I was Bert, I'd play one more year to try to get to 300 wins. ERA over 3, 3,700 strikeouts for Bert Blyleven. He had a no-hitter. And what was unique about Bert is he had a curveball. Hold it with the 2 and curve. Number 28 on my list, Mordecai Brown, old school, 1903 to 1916. 14 years in the league, played with the Cubs. He wins 239 games in 14 years. ERA, very good, 2.06, 1,300 strikeouts. What's interesting about him, they called him Three Finger Brown because he was working on a farm as a kid and cut himself on one of the tractors and he nubbed his fingers. But when he was a pitcher, he had the nubs. So they called him Three Finger Brown when he threw. And he wins 239 games. Very good. Number 27 on my list, Bob Feller of the Indians. Started playing at 17 years old. Had 3 no-hitters. He could throw hard. He played from 1936 through 1956, 18 years. Had a couple years in the service, military service. But he won 266 games, lost 162, ERA 3, 2,500 strikeouts for Bob Feller. 18 years in the league. Counting down, number 26. All right, I'm going to get into these old school pitchers. And you may question that those who pitched in the 1800s or early 1900s, they had it easier. I disagree. There were ball players swinging the bat back then, and these guys got them out. Either they threw hard or knew how to get them off balance. But these guys, the next couple guys I'm going to list, are Hall of Famers, and they've won 300 games. And they did it in a short period of time because they pitched every other day or every 3 days. Sometimes they pitch every day. Here's number 26, Charles Radbourn. He's in the Hall of Fame. He pitched from 1881 to 1891. Okay. In 11 years, he wins 310 games. In 11 years, it's almost 30 wins a season. 194 losses. ERA 2.5, 1,800 strikeouts. Played for the Red Sox. Charles Radbourn, 1 year, won 59 games. How does he do that? Obviously, either you pitch every other day or every third day, or you come in relief and get the win. But I've got him on my list because he's in the Hall of Fame, Baseball Hall of Fame in Cooperstown, New York. Number 25 on my list, Mickey Welsh, another old timer. 1880 to 1892, he plays 13 years. And he wins 307 games in 13 years. Again, almost 28 or 29 wins a season. 2.71 ERA, 1,800 strikeouts. Played for the Giants. He's unique because he had 525 complete games. Today's pitchers in the year 2020, very few even pitch a complete game. But these old school guys, either they didn't throw as hard and they could pitch 120 or 150 pitches a game, or something's going on back then. But he won 307 games. Mickey Welsh. He's on my list. Number 24, another old school, Tim Keefe. Have you heard of him? 1880 to 1893. So he plays 14 years. Played for the Giants. In 14 years, he wins 342 games and loses 225. 2.63 ERA, 2,500 strikeouts. One year, he won 19 games in a row. That's Tim Keefe, and he's in the Hall of Fame. I've got him on my list. Number 23, John Clarkson. 1882 to 1894. They played baseball back then, and they kept records. 12 years, 328 wins, 178 losses, 2.81 ERA, almost 2,000 strikeouts, played for the Cubs and Red Sox. Played 12 years. And 1 year he won 53 games. John Clarkson. Now you may ask, these guys are winning 300 games in a short period of time, and they're winning 30, 40, and 50 games a year. What's going on? I don't know what's going on, but this is incredible. And you may ask, it was easy back then? I don't know. If it was, then why isn't there 100 players who won 300 games back then? Why is it just a few? Because these guys had talent, and I've got them on my list. Okay, number 22 on my list, Kid Nichols, 1890 to 1906. 15 years in the league, played for the Red Sox, 362 wins, 208 losses. ERA 3, 1,800 strikeouts, played for the Red Sox. 10 years in a row, this guy won 20 games or more. That's an incredible streak. Kid Nichols, Hall of Fame. Number 21 on my list, Pud Calvin. Have you heard of him? 15 years, played for the Pirates. 1875, one of the really early birds, to 1892. Pud Calvin won 365 games, but he also lost 310. So he's in about 700 games in his career. Either he wins it or loses it. ERA 3, 1,800 strikeouts, 2 no-hitters, played for the Pirates. He had a stretch for 2 years, he won 92 games in 2 years. Today's pitchers, if you win 20 and 20, that's 40, right, in 2 years. This guy won 92 in 2 years. Incredible. All right, number 20 on my list, Earl Wynn. All right, we're getting into 1939 to 1963 for Earl Wynn. He wins 300 games, loses 244. ERA 3.5, 2,300 strikeouts, played 23 years. Earl Wynn played for the Senators, Indians. Ted Williams said that when he faced Earl Wynn, it was one of the toughest pitchers he ever saw. And if Ted Williams said that, then this guy had some good stuff. Earl Wynn, Hall of Fame. Number 19 on my list, Tom Glavine of the Braves. You remember him? 1987 to 2008. 2 Cy Young Award winners, 22 years. He won 305 games, lost 203. ERA 3.5, over 2,600 strikeouts. Tom Glavine, lefty, nibbled on that outside corner. Hard to hit, and he won a World Series with the Braves. 22 years for Tom Glavine and 2 Cy Young Awards. Cy Young Award is the best award a pitcher can receive in the league. That means you're the best out of all for that season. Number 18 on my list, Phil Niekro. Played for the Braves, had a no-hitter, played from 1964 to 87. He wins 318 games and loses 274, ERA 3, 3,300 strikeouts, played 24 years. You know why? He had a knuckleball. You know the knuckleball? You hold it, and when you throw it. When I play baseball, in the hardball league that I play in, it's hard to hit a knuckleball. You see it, and then it drops. So Phil Niekro threw the knuckleball, and he wins 318 games. How about that? Number 17 on my list, Don Sutton of the Dodgers. He's an Iron Man. Played in 744 games as a pitcher. He played from 1966 to 1988. He wins 324, loses 256, ERA over 3, 3,500 strikeouts in 23 years. Iron Man, Don Sutton of the Dodgers. Number 16 on my list, Gaylord Perry of the Giants. Remember him? 1962 to 1983. He wins 314, loses 265, ERA 3, 3,500 strikeouts, 22 years. He had a no-hitter. Gaylord Perry. Number 15 on my list, back to the old school, Eddie Plank. 1901 to 1917, played for the Philadelphia Athletics. He wins 2 World Series titles in 17 years. But Eddie Plank won 326 games and lost 194. ERA is very good, 2.3. And 2,200 strikeouts in 17 years. Eddie Plank, Hall of Fame. Number 14 on my list, counting down, Steve Carlton of the Phillies. Played from 1965 to 1988. He wins 329 games, loses 244, ERA over 3. But Steve had over 4,000 strikeouts, 4,136. Plays 24 years and he wins 4 Cy Young Awards. Steve Carlton, a lefty. Number 13 on my list, Pedro Martinez of the Red Sox. Remember him? 3 Cy Youngs. Played from 1992 to 2009. Wins only 219 games in 18 years. But his ERA is good, 2.93. He was a strikeout guy, 3,154 in 18 years. Pedro Martinez. This guy's a very good winning percentage. Wins 219 and only loses 100 games in 18 years. Tough pitcher. Winning percentage, 68%. Remember I told you that if you're 50%, you're about where everybody else is. If you're 60, you're good. But Pedro, 68% winning percentage. Number 12 on my list, Bob Gibson of the St. Louis Cardinals. 1959 through 1975. He wins 251, loses 174, ERA close to 3. 3,117 strikeouts. Winning percentage 59. He plays 17 years. He had a no-hitter. But he's known for that one World Series game where he struck out 17 batters. Woo! And he's also known for one season having an ERA of 1.12. Most players you've seen on the list, close to 3, 3.5. Some players are in the 4s. He had a season 1.12 ERA, earned run average. He also pitched 13 shutouts one season. Incredible. Bob Gibson coming in at number 12. Number 11, Tom Seaver of the Mets. 1967 through 1986. He wins 311, loses 205. ERA close to 3, 3,600 strikeouts. 20 years in the league. He pitched a no-hitter. You know what he did once? He faced 10 San Diego Padres and struck out 10 in a row. That's a record. And he struck out 19 in one game once. Tom Seaver, hard to hit. 20 years in the league for Tom. Okay, number 10. Here goes my top 10. And these guys are on another level. Number 10, Lefty Grove, Hall of Fame. Most of the other pitchers that I've been talking about are in the Hall of Fame with a few exceptions. Lefty Grove plays 1925 to 1941. He wins 300 games on the nose. Nice going, Lefty. 141 losses. That means his winning percentage 68%. Plays 17 years. ERA 3, 2,200 strikeouts. 1 year he won 31 games. And he played for the Philadelphia Athletics and the Red Sox, Boston Red Sox. He got 2 World Series titles. Lefty Grove cracks in at number 10 on my list. Number 9, Greg Maddux. 1986 to 2008. He wins 355 games. Loses 227, ERA 3, 3,300 strikeouts. Plays 23 years and he wins 4 Cy Youngs. That's hard to do. To win 1 is hard, and he won 4. Did you know that in 23 years, Greg Maddux, excellent control, only walked 999 people in 23 years? A lot of other players have thousands of walks. And one Hall of Famer had 2,800 walks and still made the Hall of Fame. Greg Maddux, pinpoint control. He comes in at number 9. Number 8, Grover Cleveland Alexander, old school. In 1911, 1930, he wins 373 and loses 208. ERA 2.5. 2,100 strikeouts, plays 20 years for the Cubs and the Cardinals. As a rookie, this guy comes in as a rookie and wins 28 games in his first season. Grover Cleveland Alexander. Look him up. Number 7, Warren Spahn. 1942 to 1965. He plays 21 years, 2 no-hitters. 21 years, he wins 363 games and loses 245. ERA 3, 2,500 strikeouts. Remember I told you that Don Drysdale hit 29 home runs in a season, and that was number 2? You know who's number 1 as far as a pitcher hitting the most home runs in their career? Don Drysdale is number 2 with 29, and Warren Spahn hit 35 home runs in his career as a pitcher. Nowadays, pitchers, very few hits homers. Some can hit out of the park, but this guy had 35 for his career. Warren Spahn. Number 7 on my list. Number 6. These guys are good. Randy Johnson. Played for the Mariners, 4 Cy Youngs, 2 no-hitters, and one of them was a perfect game. Played from 1988 to 2009. He wins 303 games in 22 years, loses 166, ERA 3, but he's number 2 in strikeouts, 4,875 strikeouts in 22 years. That is Randy Johnson. Tall guy, threw hard. Wow, I've got him on my list, but who beats him? According to my list. Number 5, old school, Christy Mathewson of the Giants. This guy, unbelievable stats. Plays from 1900 to 1916. So he plays 17 years. He served his country too back then in the military. He wins 373 games in 17 years. He loses 188. So that means his winning percentage is 66%. ERA for 17 years, 2.13. Wow. In one World Series, listen to this. He pitched 3 complete game shutouts in one World Series. 27 innings, 0. And he won 30 games in a season 4 times. So he was one of the ones in the early years that would pitch every 3rd day and sometimes every 2 days. Christy Mathewson. I've seen highlights of him on TV. He comes in at number 5 as one of the greatest pitchers of all time, Hall of Fame. He died young, too, because he contracted an illness while serving in the military. And when they came back, they found it. And the Christian gentleman, they call him, died young. But he, one of the toughest pitchers of that era, played for the New York Giants. John McGraw was his manager. Number 4. You may disagree with me on this one, but there's a stat I don't like that he has, but there's other stats that I like. Number 4 on my list, my subjective feeling, Cy Young. We know the story on him, 1890 to 1911, plays 22 years and wins 511 games. But the stat I don't like is he lost 316, which is a record. Not only does he have the most wins in Major League Baseball history, he has the most losses. But his ERA was good, 2.63, 2,800 strikeouts. Listen to this. In 22 years, he pitches in 7,356 innings. That's a record, #1 record. And he has the most complete games, 749 games complete. Cy Young. Played for the Red Sox and played for Cleveland back then. Early part of the century. You may ask, all right, he starts pitching in 1890. You may ask, it's easy back then. I disagree. There were ball players hitting the ball and spraying the ball all over the yard. How come he won 511 and not other players? Because if it's easy, then you have other players winning 300, 400, 500. Maybe someone else wins 600. But why is he the only one that won 511? He had 3 no-hitters, and one of them was a perfect game. So he was tough. Cy Young, and they named the pitching award after him. I've seen video of him. Doesn't look that dominant, but he was one of the original members of the Hall of Fame. Cy Young. Who beats him? Well, you may disagree with me on this one, but I got to go with this guy at #3, Sandy Koufax. Why? Well, Cy Young had 3 no-hitters and a perfect game. But Sandy Koufax had 4 no-hitters, and one of them was a perfect game. Thing about Sandy, he only played 12 years, 1955 to 1966, won the World Series with the Dodgers. He won 165 games, lost 87, so that's a 65% winning percentage. ERA 2.76, 2,300 strikeouts in 12 years. So he was on a pace, 4,000 or 5,000 if he plays 20 years or 25 years. But after 12 years, he was in pain. His left arm gave out. He threw so hard and threw the curveball. And he said he was taking pills every day, and he did not want to live a life of just being drugged all the time on pills. So Sandy Koufax retires at 12 years. His last year in the league, he wins 27 games. He's in his prime. One year, Sandy Koufax struck out 382 batters. Most guys for the season, maybe 150. Some get to 200. Some get to 250. And if you're good, you get over 300. He strikes out 382 batters in 1 year, the Dodgers. Sandy Koufax, watch his video. And players like Willie Mays said that when they faced him, the ball was coming in. It was coming in level, and at the last minute, it rose. And Willie Mays would sometimes strike out on that pitch. And he couldn't understand how Sandy Koufax's fastball would come in straight and at the last minute rise. Usually the pitch will sink. But Sandy Koufax's fastball rose. And some other guys could not even see the pitch. It just got in there so fast. And when the curveball, see, here's the key to pitching. You have to keep the pitcher or the batter off balance. You can throw him the fastball, you can throw him a changeup, you can throw him the splitter, the slider, or the curveball. And that's how you keep them off balance, because they don't know what's coming. Is it coming in hard, or is it coming in slow? Is it coming in and sinking, or is it coming in rising? That's the key to Sandy Koufax was. He had a dominant fastball, but you didn't know when that curveball was coming in. Oh, I just wish that Sandy, he only played 12 years. I wish he would have played about 20 or 25. What would his stats be? He wins 165, so if you double that, that's 330. And 2,300 strikeouts, so if you double that, that's 4,600 strikeouts. He has 4 no-hitters. He probably gets another 2 or 3 no-hitters. He was that good. Sandy Koufax coming in number 3. Who comes in at number 2? You guys may disagree with me on this one, and I've seen other lists where they have this guy way higher because he was a little wild, but I tell you what, he was one of the most dominant pitchers and the most scary pitchers that everyone wanted to face. Tony Gwynn said that Nolan Ryan was the toughest, one of the toughest. Nolan Ryan comes in at number 2 on my list. 1966 to 1993, plays 27 years. 324 wins, I like that. 292 losses, too many losses. 3 ERA, but here's the stat, and it's number 1. 5,714 strikeouts for Nolan Ryan. Incredible. But here's the other stat that will never be beat. No one will ever come close. 7 no-hitters. And when he's in his 40, he pitches 2 of those no-hitters when he's past the age of 40. Played for the Mets, the Angels, the Rangers, the Astros, and he owns the record for most strikeouts in one season, 383. Koufax had 382. Nolan Ryan rings up 383. Then he comes back another year and punches out another 370. If he's striking out all these guys, he must be one of the hardest pitchers of all time to hit. His fastball, 100 miles an hour. Nolan Ryan, 27 years, 7 no-hitters. 7. Now you see the other list, Koufax 4, Cy Young had 3, Bob Feller had 3, and some of the other guys had 2, and if you're good, you get 1, but most pitchers can't pitch a no-hitter. There was a pitcher named Johnny Van Meer who pitched back-to-back no-hitters, but he's not in the Hall of Fame, and he's not on my list. Excuse me, I'm not sure if Johnny Van Meer made the Hall or not. He could be. I'll have to look that up, but he's not on my list. Who's number 1? Well, just think, who have I left out? You should know. If you're a baseball fan, you should know. Played for the Washington Senators from 1907 to 1927. You know who it is? You should know if you're a baseball fan. And if you read books and watch video, Walter Johnson. Number 1 on my list. Why? He wins 417 games and lost 279. But here's his ERA. 2.17 in 21 years. 3,509 strikeouts. Played for the Washington Senators because that team wasn't very good. First in the nation, but last in last place. That was the nickname to the Washington Senators. He pitched a no-hitter. What's the key stat on Walter Johnson? Everyone should know this. He was called the Train. He threw hard. Ty Cobb said he was one of the hardest pitchers that he faced because Walter Johnson would come inside with the fastball and Ty couldn't turn on that pitch. And he didn't know how fast that speed was. They say it was 100 miles an hour even back then. But what's the key stat to Walter Johnson that makes him the number 1 pitcher? He's got 417 wins, which is number 2. 417 wins. But what's the key stat? 110 shutouts in 21 years. Most pitchers, in order to pitch a shutout, you got to go 9, and you got to be good. The next person in line with the most shutouts, I think, is around 60. So he's 50 ahead of everybody else. I don't know who has 60 shutouts. I'd have to look that up. But I do know that Walter Johnson was the most dominant pitcher in the history of baseball. And he played for a poor team. He plays for the Yankees. Listen, he played 1907 and 1927. He plays for Boston or the Yankees or the Philadelphia Athletics. How many wins does he have? He got a World Series title. He pitched a no-hitter. How many wins would he have if he played for the better teams? All right, let's extrapolate. Yeah, I like that word. If he's playing for a last place team and he wins 417 games in 21 years, how many wins does he have if he plays for a first place team during that era? You got to add maybe over 100 more, maybe 150 more wins. So he would be around 520 or 550 wins. He would be number one of all time. But he stayed with the Washington Senators. They did get their World Series. He got one. But a lot of times that team was in last place, and yet he was still dominant. Watch the old videotape of him. A little sidearm threw the ball sidearm, but with such power and speed. They called him the Train. He made the Hall of Fame first ballot. All right, I counted down from number 50 to number 1. What do you think of the list? I didn't include players who had steroids. My apologies to those who think they should be on the list. I excluded some players who are in the Hall of Fame, and I don't have players right now whose career they're playing right now because their career stats are not finished. So I can't have them on my list right now. I like the list. Maybe one or two could be interchangeable. But all in all, the greatest pitchers of all time. Now, you may ask me, if I had a Game 7, who would I want to pitch that game to win the World Series? Walter Johnson. I'd take him. Who would I take number 2? Sandy Koufax. Who would I take number 3? Nolan Ryan. Who would I take number 4? Lefty Grove, because he's lefty. And who would I take number 5? Well, let's see. Who would I take number 5? All right, Johnson 1, Koufax 2. Oh, Christy Masterson, take him number 5. Who would I take number 6? Randy Johnson. He was tough. 7, Greg Maddux. 8, Tom Seaver. 9, Bob Gibson. And who else? Who would be my top 10? Bob Feller. Okay, I think that'll do it. I'll put this on YouTube. If you like it, say you like it. If you don't like it, just be nice. Okay, it's my opinion, my subjective feeling. I'm a big baseball fan, and I recommend that you got to visit Cooperstown, New York, and visit the Baseball Hall of Fame. That's one of the best experiences I've had in my life. It's a wonderful town. Main Street is all baseball. All the restaurants are baseball. The surrounding ball fields all around Cooperstown. It's nostalgia. You really feel like you're in the 1800s when you visit Cooperstown, New York. It's green. Go in the summer. I'm going to go again. I've been there twice. I'm going to go the third time. Cooperstown, New York. Hey, thanks for watching. Everyone take care. Ken Artizone. I'm out.